Hey, and welcome everybody to XLR Tier 1 Round 13 here at Circuit of the Americas. I am Solid Elite and I will be taking you through the stream today. At my right hand will be Numi, who will be assisting for today's stream and providing some brilliant insights as he usually does.
Well, I'm on the right, we're going to be on the left.
Well, if you want to be on the left hand side, feel free.
How about in the middle?
You just want to be, I mean, you can be behind if you want, or you can be in front, it's up to you.
How about above?
If you can manage to get yourself above, feel free. But then,
We're
as
like 10 seconds into the stream and we're already talking about something random.
yeah, it's a great stream, guys. So we are getting started here. If you're wondering why we have multiplayer, God, jeez, what is that from Haas? That is, I mean,
It's a Haas.
to be fair, it does, like, there's no questioning that's a Haas, just because nothing else looks similar to that. If there was Toyota and Haas, I would very much question whether that's Toyota. It does also have a rainbow on his halo, so he's racing for all today, which is always nice to see from the drivers thinking about the inclusivity. As I am just bringing up a track map quickly, and yeah, I'm trying to see who actually is coming out for a fastest, who's currently furthest ahead when it comes down to a flying lap, because D10, who's picked a, I'm not quite sure that's Aston Martin green, but it's green. It's very green. It almost matches the colour of DRS.
Honestly, there's only one green car in the field, so...
Yeah, I suppose these guys can get away with it, but...
BP-Asus just come out. It's supposedly in an Alpine. And I guess it's blue and pink, but... It's not exactly Alpine blue, or BWT pink.
I think... let's get a good shot of that for the stream. Yeah, it's workable. I think that's what's important, is we can sort of tell that's the Alpine. So yeah, it's looking good so far. We will figure out who is actually... Oh, there we go. There's our first driver, Haas. A 44.2 for the Haas driver then.
Jay-Z's just invalidated at the final corner.
And now to be...
What car's Jay-Z meant to be in? Isn't he in, like, Ferrari?
I'm not actually sure.
Jay-Z, that's a Ferrari.
Yeah, a lot of clown liveries today. So L-Plan's got a nice Golf Williams, but he had life easy. Stefan's also invalidated his lap in the third sector. Teek's just beginning a lap. D10 currently in that third and final sector. And he will be crossing the line next, actually, to set a flying lap in the Aston Martin car on the medium compound tyres, as we are only in Q1. So it's important you just get out the bottom 5. Don't need to be doing anything else. And he goes to a 34.5. Pyro on the mediums is 2/10 quicker at the moment around Circuit of the America. Jay-Z is, I think he's going to be coming into the pits. He's got 0 ERS, so...
He invalidated his first run at the final corner. Basel goes fastest.
With a 34.0. No, especially considering he's on the medium tyres. Looking pretty rapid here. Indeed, he does. 33.6, a good lap from him. That's BP Ace in the Alpine, has just begun his flying lap. Just trying to get a grip for who the drivers roughly are, just so we can kind of see on the track.
If they were still in F1, I'd say that car's more of a Toro Rosso, but...
I think
they're not in F1 anymore, so...
Yeah, Sweatback Flame's going to be the next to cross the line, and as he's just coming through the last couple of corners now, round turn 20, the final corner across this glorious track, he goes up to P4 with a 34.3. He too is on the medium compound of tyres then, as that's Teeks going up to P2.
Sneaky Lag is supposedly also in a Haas, but I'm not so sure about that one. It reminds me of... Like, I can't place my... Is it Minardi? from
I think, yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well, like the early
Yeah.
2000s.
yeah.
That's sort of what I'm seeing here. So it's got a nice bit of silver on it, but is it Haas? That's the question. Gianuzzi set a 2:04.1. To be honest, I reckon that's actually a good lap time for him. Really, not sure if he'll be improving much on that. So
You did say you were gonna roast him this soon
after
the
the
image.
events, the image. So everyone's getting roasted. So Giannuzzi's not alone. So around the final corner, then comes BP Ace. Where can he put his Alpine P7 on a set of medium compound tyres? We'll have to wait and see if that will be enough to get him out of Q1. I'm sure it probably will be.
I don't think Shakos got the memo. Shakos is running the default car.
Yeah, I don't. He must have not selected livery. So, well, we know Shakos is a Ferrari driver. So, will we give him the benefit of the doubt? Probably not. But you know, he's doing his thing. So,
Zach is beast in the pink Alpine, which it is more Alpine than the Toro Rosso.
yeah, indeed, it's quite heavily Alpine.
Aim's AlphaTauri is most definitely an AlphaTauri.
It's actually quite a nice livery.
It's more like the 2020 one, I reckon.
Yeah, I see that.
That's
It's quite nice though.
2021, but it's definitely AlphaTauri.
Yeah, that's sort of the important thing.
What team that is. Liam Walder's car is
McLaren.
Interesting. Yeah, Peter Pat's got the Miami Red Bull livery.
So I wonder what team he is then.
Yeah.
I think actually next across the line is going to be Zaki's Beast here in his Alpine. He powers his way down the straight P10 on a set of soft compound tyres. For all intents and purposes, that's not great for Zaki's Beast. Petterflat, why didn't his lap time set?
Invalidated.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. But I didn't see an invalidation, so perhaps it must have been at the final. Because it would have had to be, if it was the final corner, it would still be invalid because it'd be this and next. So
I don't know.
That's peculiar. Unless we just didn't see the giant bit of red there. Leon Boulder goes up to P5 then. Fairly solid effort from him. Quite a few drivers coming into the pit lane. As it stands, Shakos invalidated his first lap. Ayan's just about to begin a final flying lap. Yeah, it's kind of weird with Petterflat. I think we probably missed it, to be completely honest. Fuzzle is still out there, although he's on very low fuel. Pyro is, well, I think this is the same set of medium tyres. Still trying to improve, perhaps using this as a bit more of a practice session. That very famous shot coming through turn 9 around COTA, especially if it's sunset, does look incredibly beautiful. And yeah, I don't think anyone else particularly on a push. Sneaky. Sneaky's
flying down the straight.
AR definitely is. Petterflat isn't.
Giannuzzi's come to the end of his lap. He goes P10, which is a lot more representative than this 2-minute time that we saw previously. Shakos has invalidated his lap. Shakos is coming into the pit lane. He's definitely got more pace, but he's yet to show it. He's definitely not in the slowest 5 drivers on our grid today.
Yeah, Shakos is. If he was bottom 5, I would say what has happened there. Jay-Z abandons his lap actually and pulls into the pit lane then, so yet to set a time for him. Ayan currently coming through the horseshoe and into turn 19 then. He is definitely going to be setting this lap time, getting a little loose on the exit, kind of just desperate for grip over the curb as he goes to the top.
Ooh.
That's pretty much expected considering he's on the soft tyres, beating out El Planet. Actually, by a sizable margin, 0.3 of a second is pretty good. Petterflat's just lining up, I think, to go again on a hot lap. Sneaky is just doing bankers. It really does.
Being sneaky.
Yeah, he's a bit sandbagging. And actually, just by him sort of... I mean, he's done... I don't really know what he's doing, but... He's just
in a bit like Imola, he's not really caring, to be honest.
No,
he's just kind of having fun.
Yeah, and that's all that this league race is about. There's no prizes to be won here at the moment, and I think.
Yet.
Yet. You might
Watch
be
this
winning a
space.
chocolate bar next season, and we'll move up from there. But
1 million jelly beans.
yeah, D10's back out there again, but on a set of softs this time. BP Ace on a medium set as well. Aeon will just be pulling into the pits then. Voting Web is out on the track then, setting a flying lap in his version of a Mercedes. Of course, he's gone for the blacked out livery, which makes it easy for him, picking the easy way out. Which is...
Climax going to be the next car, I think. He's coming just into the final sector now. It's a 102.7 in the middle sector. The game shows us as purple, but most of the time when the game shows it as purple, it actually isn't. So I have to see. He's got green and yellow. Not quite Aston Martin, but...
I think it's rather stylish.
Yeah.
The pattern is also exactly beautiful.
Martin, but
no, you can tell
who he is.
Yeah.
He's snap of oversteer in that penultimate corner. Jack Imac coming up to the line. Seems to be understeering a bit. And goes top on the medium tyre as well.
Yeah, so a few of the big heavy hitters then setting some reasonable lap times. Petter Flat just coming to the line now. P8 for him. I think we're going to have BP Ace in the third sector. D10 invalidated early on, so he's just prepping his tyres to go again. BP Ace was improving actually through that third and final sector, but Voting Web will be next across the line as he rounds the final corner now in the Mercedes. Where can he put this Mercedes car? Actually only P9. Behind quite a few drivers.
Safe for now.
Yeah, of course. It is only Q1, so it's not a big deal if you don't really push very hard. So that's what Voting is doing for now. BP Ace, how much has he improved by 0.2? That jumps him up to P11. So yeah, pretty.
Around the lap with Jack Imac, and he's on an in lap again. It's not the longest of laps. It doesn't feel like a short lap, but it's only the 130, so it's not particularly long.
No, it's honestly not a long lap, but it's by no means a short lap. It would have been quite fun to. Oh, sorry. It would have been quite fun to keep Texas short in the game. That was a really fun short track, and having a race around there would have been an absolute blast. So, but yeah, Shakos on a lap at the moment. Do you not remember in like F1 2020 we had the short tracks?
Oh yeah, the short track, right.
They were so much fun to drive.
Yeah.
That little chicane at Circuit of the Americas, D10 is really squirreling in his Aston Martin. He'll be next across the line, followed by Shakos. So D10's about half a second up at the moment. That's going to put him on about a 34.0, which might jump him up to P7, but I'm sure he'll find a bit more time, especially in this sector that's quite mechanically... this third sector's got quite a lot of mechanical advantage, so... with a softer tyre, D10 actually loses a bit of time, surprisingly, so he goes up to P7 then, although his tyres are a little bit older, so I suppose there is a slight excuse there. Shakos then rounds the final corner now, goes up.
There we go.
That's where we're used to seeing him.
6/10.
Of course, do bear in mind that he is on a fresh set of tyres as well. Sneaky. That as well, in the fake Ferrari.
BP Access hit the wall coming into the pit lane. I'm not sure how much damage he'd have from that because you can't go off board when a driver's in the pit lane. Aeon retires. He's happy with that lap, and I think that's fair enough.
Voting Web just beginning another lap. Sneaky is not even using 8th gear or DRS. I'm rather bemused at what he's doing. Jay-Z's coming towards the end of his lap. He's in that final sector at the moment through the very twisty section. He's he's the only driver out on track that's yet to actually set a lap time. Everybody else has got something on the board at least. Power GT deciding that he would please like to start from the back of the grid, but I think he'll...
he got a body ban, I think.
Oh, did he? Oh yeah, because he had quite a few incidents. Yeah, Jay-Z moves up to P16 then.
He's not safe there. He's still in the drop zone then.
And Giannuzzi will probably be improving through the course of this lap as well. So a lot of the drivers who are close to that drop zone will definitely be coming out on some fresh tyres. I think Voting knows he needs to put in a much better lap. Yeah, he's 4/10 up at the moment. That's going to probably very comfortably see Voting Web into the top 15.
I
mean,
doubt he'd be in danger of that up. I just noticed Voting Web and Petter Flat have the exact same lap time at the moment. One with 4.128.
So they do. Haas has retired. I saw Haas dive into the. What happened with Haas?
Yeah,
I saw his
he's
name
come into
flash
pit
up.
lane.
I saw his name
Yeah,
flash up. Jack Armack also retiring. Yeah, a P5 for Voting Web.
Been pulled into the pit lane, so he thinks his lap's enough. Petter Flat, who had the same time as Voting Web, is going again. Pyro puts it P2. That's a 33.0.
Giannucci goes up to P12, which should see him quite comfortably through. Jay-Z's definitely out. Stefan, whom you haven't really seen much of actually in the Williams, just about to begin his fight. Well, actually, no, Jay-Z might not be out because he's got 50 seconds to get to the line, but he's quite far back, so it's going to be. Oh no, is it? I'm not sure. Jay-Z might just about get to the line, but it will be a just about sort of thing. If he does, Zaki's beast on an outlap. Sneaky is out. Because he's on such old soft tyres. Yeah.
It's a minute 30 lap and there's 30 seconds to go. He's in the last sector, so Haas disconnected from the session.
That's
so the intentional.
No, so that's the thing that I saw then.
Yeah, he's 13th at very best in this Q1 session, so Haas could be a serious risk here. He's not going to be setting another lap.
Oh, someone's in the barriers, I think. Someone was spun round. Yeah, it's Petter Flat. It's Petter Flat. He lost some of his front wing just coming through turn 1. As a few drivers, a few drivers are improving, but we're going to focus. Yeah, as much as I'd like to focus on those fast guys, I think this is the time where we focused on the guys sort of from P12 downwards. Giannucci, only P12 could be at. I don't think he will be.
That will be Stefan.
But
driver to set it up will be Stefan, and it's annoying that because he's in a Williams, but his car's blue. But on the map it's orange, which is not at all confusing.
No, not at all. But yeah, I think Giannucci probably will be safe, but we're never too sure. Stefan goes very wide. Luckily, doesn't invalidate that lap. As now we go. Oh no, he has invalidated.
No, it has.
A 34.6. That wouldn't have. Oh no, that would have been a nah. No, it wouldn't have been.
No,
who's just jumped out?
Is next to get to the line. He's in his pink Alpine.
Yeah, he
won off liveries at the start of the season.
Oh,
Pyro's got a grid count for illegal blocking.
And Zaki's beast is out. Jay-Z's currently about half a tenth down at the moment, so I'm not and he needs 4/10 of a second, so I'm going to say that Jay-Z is out alongside Stefan. Zaki's beast
jumped up the field.
Sneaky lagger.
Flames also jumped up. So unless Jay-Z can improve by around 4/10, Hart should just about be safe. Yes, he is.
And Haas, despite the disconnect and not being able to set another lap, finally makes a Q2 session, which is always good for him. And Shakos tops us out with Pyro behind and Leon Boulder in P3. Jack Imac P4 on his medium tyre, so I'm sure he's going to be pretty chuffed with that. With Fuzzle P5, AR P6, BPA's P7, P8 belongs to our plan with P9 Sweatback Flames. Voting Web occupies P10 with Teeks in P11. 12th belongs to D10 with Petaflat in 13th, Giannucci in 14th, and Haas in 15th then. Of course, this isn't going to be the order that these aren't going to be the drivers that get through into Q3, not necessarily. Of course, as you know, you don't need to be fast in Q1, you just have to get out the bottom 5. So it's all sort of about that. So we'll see what happens when we get into Q2.
Yeah, so Pyro was just going slowly into the pit, and then Giannucci just came up behind him. Pyro got a 5-place grid penalty for that. So Pyro will be starting 5 places lower than he qualifies, even if it isn't necessarily his fault. There's nothing that can be done about that. So Pyro's gonna have to live with it. to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's it's rather unfortunate, and well, I think that's just what racing is. Sometimes you get out, and you're going to be dropping down further than you would expected. But it's all about bouncing back and seeing what you can really do. And let's hope that Pyro responds well. I'm sure he'll be cursing out Giannuzzi now, which I think the whole stream would love to hear, but I don't think we have the facilities for that because of PlayStation and Discord not having fun times together. Of course, that would make it convenient for everything. So, well, let's just wait then and see what's going on with Q2 then. How many drivers will come out onto the track for medium runs, try and save some more softs or things like that?
Coming out there. There's 3 cars coming out all at the same time. D10 is the leader of that pack. I've lost game audio.
Have you?
Alright, I got it again.
D10 Aston Martin currently leads the way. There's a Williams and a Mercedes. I think that's oh my goodness, very far. I can't even remember who's in the Williams.
L Plan.
Yeah, L Plan and Pyro.
And then behind him, that's Pyro's Mercedes livery, I believe. Indeed, it is. I saw the blue accent, so it's Pyro. Which is true to the normal game as well. There's BP Ace with his Toro Rosso Alpine.
I don't really see the Toro Rosso because Toro Rosso was never pink, so I always will.
Oh no, they were like blue and red, and
yeah,
it's like that shade of blue though.
Yeah, I get that bit. Yeah, let's just see what happens when we come round to start the first flying laps of the session and sort of see the pace that everyone's got out there. So Wetback Flame, interestingly, coming out on the medium compounder tyres. So we'll see how that plays out for him if he can get through on that set. I think what the thing is, though, when you do that, but then you will probably change for a set of softs anyway, you just burn through a set of medium compound tyres and sort of just kind of ruin that set. Well, not really ruin that set, but you sort of get what I mean. It kind of becomes a little bit of a pointless act. I think we saw that quite a lot in the era of your tyres in Q2 you start on. A lot of drivers would go out, and this is in league racing, a lot of drivers would set their first lap on mediums thinking they'll get it through, but then literally the entire field would switch to softs and they've just put their mediums through a heat cycle and a bit of extra wear for no reason at all. It always bewildered me why they did that, because there was always some clown would go onto the softs and then everyone else would follow to make sure they got through. So, you know, luckily we don't have that as much, but I suppose if you're fast enough, you'll get through on the mediums. And as much as I love Sweatback Flame, with a lot of the other drivers on the softs, I just don't quite see him being able to be fast enough on the mediums, just because there are a lot of other quicker drivers on those softs as well.
Cormac probably would get through.
Even then, Jack he'll be on the cusp probably. He won't be, well, I say that. He was pretty fast last time, so well, maybe Sweatback can get through. He might give us a surprise. He's been very, very fast in some recent rounds, to be completely honest. He's been quite a standout driver.
And in Tier 2 last night, he was probably the quickest guy on the track for most of the race until he had some contact. But D10 coming up to the final.
Oh, we disconnected.
Left protection, and he's been teleported to the pit lane.
Well.
So that's goodbye to D10's first run.
And Pyro sets that lap, I think.
Pyro prefers to set a lap instead.
BPH goes to the top though. Very close, 2,000ths. That is a rather short amount of time. He goes faster on the mediums. Fair enough. Prove me wrong. 31-0.
Next, yes, he is. He's at the beginning. He invalidated, I think. No, he just bad and said a bad time.
Yeah, 35-2. I think Haas has got plenty to reflect about there.
They go Petra flat into P3 with the fastest final sector. Shakos is the yellow car.
He's
So,
just beginning his final flying lap. Teeks goes fastest with a 33.0. So a very respectable effort from him. Leon Boulder, where can he put his car? Sorry, there's a 33.1 from Teeks and then a 33.0 from Liam Boulder.
Jack Comac's going to be the next to the line. He's just coming around the many corners. There's like 3 corners in one.
Yeah, Triple Apex Horseshoe is a very satisfying corner when you get it right. And luckily in this year's game, it's not quite as bad as we saw in F1 22 where people would just spin randomly there. Jack Carmack goes up to P3 on his set of medium tyres with a 33.5. So will he go out again? I'm not sure. Probably not, unless a lot of the other drivers. Well, it just depends where he finishes. Come the checkered flag will come. I think once everyone else has sort of finished their laps here. So I think voting is going to be next across the line to set a lap time.
And he'll be followed by Jack Omac. No, not Jack Omac, Shakos.
That's the one.
They've got similar names. Like Jack. That's my defence.
We'll see if that one holds up in a court of law. Voting Web goes up to P2 with a 33.1 as well. Shakos then. By how much is he going to blow this lap time out of the way? No, only P4.
That's how much. He's warming up.
Yes.
That's just his outlap.
So, not the greatest for him. I genuinely actually don't think the Alpine of BP8 isn't actually as bad as he thinks it is. I think it's actually pretty decent, but of course the stream is just full of haters in the commentary box, so you know it doesn't really look good. But then here's Aeon starting on the AlphaTauri, starting his flying lap. You know when your disc would get, like if you had a CD player and then the disc would get stuck and then just play, that's where it feels.
Scratches, and then it just plays over and over again and then it just crashes.
Yeah, it's like fluff. Yeah, that's...
And supposedly purple in the first sector. Don't know if that's actually true. But he's invalidated anyway, so whether he was or not, doesn't matter.
Yeah, so Aeon, luckily it's not too far around the lap, so he can actually reset and voting, getting out of the way and picking up plenty of marbles on his tyres. I don't think anyone else is going for it again. Jack Imac was out on the track, but he's going to be on low fuel, so he's just putting another heat cycle through his tyres, to be completely honest. Pyro's back out again already on a fresh set of softs. Haas is again out there. D10 is just coming towards the end of that first sector at the moment.
Come through the end of the first sector.
Yeah, just through turn 10 at the moment before he barrels down into the downhill brake. Well, it's not really sort of downhill braking zone into turn 11. Get the car turned in nicely. Another little downhill portion. What I do quite like about Circuit of the Americas is that there is actually a reasonable amount of elevation change, considering it's a more modern circuit. It's quite nice in that sort of aspect. It provides, and the S's are a brilliant section of corners, which provides some fantastic entertainment through the qualification phase, which is always needed as qualifying is boring. D10 in that third, final and twisty section. I think what I also quite like about America is it's got a bit of everything. You've got those high speed S's through the first sector, some long straights, a long straight in the middle, and then you've got some low speed high mechanical grip corners in the final sector. And D10 goes to the top with a 32.9, so that disconnect actually improved his speed. I'm not exactly sure how that's happened.
He disconnected to turn his tax on.
Aeon is actually now on a flying lap where he hasn't invalidated it through the first sector, just coming through turn 11 now, before he gets the Red Bull powertrain working nicely and activates the DRS to barrel down this long straight, which will be a great overtaking opportunity. I think one of the most interesting incidents of the real life F1 season happened here with Stroll. Was it Stroll? No, it was Alonso and...
Yeah, Stroll and Alonso. If you're talking about the flying crash.
Yeah, it was Stroll and Alonso.
Yeah, that was Stroll and Alonso.
Yeah, it was such a weird crash, and Alonso was... I don't know how his car didn't just disintegrate at that, because he stayed out and got points.
Alpine from 2022 was a tank unless it came to the engine when it became a baguette.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a typical French thing, really. As around the final corner comes AR, now going to the top of the timing sheets by 0.2 of a second, so I think everyone's got a little bit of time left in them. And look, what I said, everyone's on softs. Now everyone's on softs, so they just wasted a set of medium tyres.
Hart's is half a second up on his previous best, so that would see him... still wouldn't be tail plan, actually. Hart's teleporting, because that's what German internet does to you.
He literally looked like he was jumping at literally all four wheels above the curb there. He was just levitating. I appreciate the new technology, but that's sort of the opposite of what ground effect's meant to do.
10.
He found
another half second in that final sector.
Very respectful.
And now he gets immediately pushed down.
But
so he is no longer safe by Pyro.
Yeah, Pyro actually.
So he is no longer in a Q3 position. Is D10... What's D10 doing? Is he waiting to give it... Oh, he's really waiting to give Jack a tow.
Or he's going to take Jack out, one of the two.
But they're waiting... They're going at the same speed. The person waiting to give his teammate a tow and his teammate going at the same speed.
Yeah.
Probably is going for a tow down the long straight into turn whatever it is.
Yeah, into turn 12. Jack's really far back for D10 to give him a tow, though. That's my only...
D10's going to have to, like, stop.
Yeah, that's my only thing. He's going to have to be going incredibly slowly. But Petter Flat...
D10 is going incredibly slowly.
Oh, so we will be waiting for his teammate. Although Jack's literally just starting his lap now. Quite possibly...
Yeah, D10's pulling up now. D10's pulled up. He's waiting.
So Petter Flat will be the next driver to cross the line to set a flying lap.
Somehow D10's not ghosted. Has Virgin Web left or Pyro? Have they left ghosting on or ghosting off? Because we normally run with it on, but D10 isn't ghosting despite being parked up.
Don't tell them, because it could make the race a bit more interesting. As Petter Flat then 0.3 up. On his lap time at the moment.
Mac also 0.3 up, but he's going to get this tow from D10. He's waited about 5 minutes for this.
I actually just want to flick to this to see what's actually going on. They are actually towing each other.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to switch to more important things with Petter Flat actually finishing his flying lap then, as he comes around the final corner of turn 20 now, activates his DRS. P8 for Petter Flat. I think next across the line will actually be Jack Imac, who's now purple through that middle sector.
Jack's gained a further 0.3 down through that middle sector.
Yeah, of course. I think actually Shakos will be next across the line, and he goes up to P1 with a pretty cracking effort, if I'm being honest.
This lap from Jack Imac might see him around where his teammate is, I think, or his official teammate. Probably not his teammate in this race.
As here we go then. DRS active. Jack Imac goes to the top by 0.2 of a second. Found another 0.6. Of course, that's because of the tyres that he's got on. So Jack looking pretty rapid. But of course, he did get that tow. So a lot of drivers thinking they've done enough. I'm sure we don't have much time left in the session. Then what is going on here between Giannucci and a couple of the other drivers? He's sort of thrown the needle a bit. Yeah, with 1 minute and 25 seconds and counting to go. Aeon and Pyro think that they've done enough. Well, I don't think they're going to get out and set another lap. Here we go. L Plan almost up by a full second here. 33.6. That's going to put him only, P9.
That's not the worst lap we've ever seen.
No, I mean we've seen a lot worse, but
it's not going to be safe.
No,
might scrape him through, but it's not safe by any means.
No, by no stretch of the imagination.
Webb is going out. Liam Bawarder and Voting Webb are going out from 6th and 7th.
Yeah, D10's thinks he's done enough and parks the car up there. And so I think Fuzzle's going to actually be the next. Is he or is it Giannucci? Giannucci will be the next, then it'll be Fuzzle. P11, so Giannucci out of qualifying then. Out of Q2. Fuzzle only about 2/10 up at the moment. That might not be enough. He's got to improve a large amount if he wants to try and displace Petter Flat. No, he does.
Oh,
he finds the last bit of time. Petter Flat is out of qualifying along with Giannucci. So it's down to really Sweatback Flame and BP Ace. Haas he's not going to get that lap in.
Yeah, he's not going to get round.
So he's out as well.
To be fair, he wouldn't get out anyway.
Poor Haas.
So is it going to be L Plan or one of the BP Ace or Sweatback Flame? Because they are the two drivers that look most likely to knock him out.
Sweatback only a 10th up.
And BP Ace is down on his first sector. So L Plan might be safe here.
Yeah, Sweatback only about 2/10. He was just under 2/10 up through the first sector. So we'll see what his middle sector split is looking like if he's improved any more.
BP Ace is a full second up now. That would put him just behind L Plan's time. So
yeah,
with a few more improvements in the last sector, we could see L Plan out in Q2.
Yeah, indeed we could. BP Ace he's just got to keep it within the white lines and keep it just as fast as coming through turn 17, 8 and 18 before the run into the high-speed left-hander, well, the medium-speed left-hander of turn 19. Sweatback Flame keeping it nicely within the track limits there. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it. Yeah, indeed, L Plan is out. BP Ace
has knocked L Plan out, but Sweatback Flame cannot knock Fuzzle out. So Fuzzle has made into Q3 for, I think it's the third time this season.
Yeah, good laps from Fuzzle. So the drivers that are eliminated then are L Plan, Petter Flat, Sweatback Flame, Giannucci, Haas. Those are our eliminations. Jack Omac tops the session with Shakos, Liam Boalder, AR, D10, BP Ace, Pyro, Teeks, Voting Web and Fuzzle making their way into Q3 then to give us an exciting top 10 shootout here at Circuit of the Americas.
Got Jack Omac into Q3, looking to be with the upper hand. Shakos is having upshift problems, so maybe that accounts for the fact why he's not on pole by 10 minutes.
Well, once he gets those slightly sorted,
He's going to have to send his wheel back to Fanatec. So
that is most unfortunate that you spent so much money on a wheel. To be fair, it is quite worth it. I've driven a couple of them before, and they are so nice.
I don't know what extent of a Fanatec he has, or he's got like a DD1 or DD2, whether it's something slightly more humble. But
well, Shakos is just so fast. I'm not too sure really. You know what? Everyone's pretty. I mean, everyone here is pretty fast, so and everyone's got good wheels. XYZ, all controllers. No, or neither does Jack Imac. He's a controller player, which is actually pretty interesting considering just how fast he is.
I bet one day there's going to be a league racer playing on keyboard. Voting Web managed to already invalidate a lap.
Oh, I think that just summarises Voting Web as a driver, really. So
that's what happens when you support Ferrari.
What happened to Sainz today? Oh dear. To be fair, actually, Leclerc is much better. Oh, he was actually much better this time around. He's had a pretty poor few rounds, which has been actually quite good for anyone looking to get an upper hand on Voting Web in any situation. But now he's actually done alright. A little bit cowering in the corner. So yeah, Voting will be the first to set a good flyer. And he played on keyboard and mouse and got 3 wins. Fair enough. I mean, I can't really drive at all, so yeah, that's why I'm sat here. So yeah, we'll wait to get going with Voting Web then, who's doing some interesting tyre warming strategies. I can sort of imagine him sat in his seat, sort of just jiggling his wheel around, thinking it's going to generate a lot of temperature. To be honest, it probably is generating a solid amount. As here we go for Voting Web then. He'll take us through the first flying lap of this Q3 session, as it is now a valid lap. Sort of moving close to being over the white lines, using all of the track that he can, coming into turn 1 before he's hard on the brakes, getting the apex beautifully before he swings round and is onto the paddle with such grace and finesse, before he now bows down into the S's section, driving with pinpoint precision, making sure he keeps the rear end in check as he swishes left and right through a series of high-speed corners, as now he makes his way up the hill slightly through the treacherous low grip zone of turn 9, barreling down into the hard braking zone that is turn 11. He's late on the brakes, and that is unfortunate for Pyro then, and he will not be setting, well, he'll be a bit out of sync with the rest of the field then, which is rather unfortunate for him.
Yeah.
Voting Web is going to come across a little bit of traffic through this final sector, actually, should I add, as my chair squeaks away. He will find himself in some pretty major traffic, I feel. Actually, the traffic's going to be trying to get on a lap whilst Voting's trying to finish. That's Shakos diving out of the way early on, but there is a car in front of him. I don't think he's going to get in his way there. That's Aeon. He went early enough where Voting will not be held up in the slightest, as he now comes round that final corner. Voting Web is 32.2. Sorry, 32.7.
That's not 32.2.
He's on, I think. D10 33.4.
That's Pyro behind, but he's invalidated his, so
I think
next
it's
will be
Fuzzle.
BPAce, I think.
No, it's
Oh,
Fuzzle.
no, Fuzzle.
Fuzzle then. Here he comes. P3 a 34.4. Got that time right. BPAce will be the next driver to cross that check the line and find his lap. He's not currently going to be sat P10, a 33.6. A very decent effort. That's the Liam Boulder going to start a flying lap.
Cheeks next to the line, but
He's invalidated.
That, so no, it won't. And so it'll be AM, but he's also invalidated. So I think it's going to be Jack. I think it genuinely is going to be Jack iMac next to set it up.
Who's in front of Jack? Is it Voting?
Voting well, I think.
Yeah, he'll be getting out of the way for Jack, so he doesn't get too involved with his driving through this third sector. A very technical part of the lap where it requires the ultimate blend of focus and well-placed triggers or pedals. Of course, if you come out of these corners with a bit too much right foot or right finger, you will find yourself round. Jack iMac has not done that. He goes to the top of the timing sheets with a 32.2. Shakos, 32.4. That's all Shakos can manage then. Pyro, he's going to come around that final corner now after his first invalidation. Where can Pyro put his car up to P4? Very valiant effort from him. Liam Buelder is going to be the next driver to cross the line. Ayan has just begun his flying lap after he had a little invalidation moment. Teets will be the only driver yet to set a time in the session, as Liam Buelder is coming through the penultimate corner now. Before he's hard on the brakes down to third gear, get plenty of rotation in that McLaren car before he now puts himself up into P3, a very respectable lap time of a 32.6. So good job for Liam Buelder then. Aeon will be our last driver to actually set that flying lap in this session. He activates his DRS then, and powers down towards turn 12. His DRS is wide open, and it shuts close immediately, of course, as it would be far too much downforce reduction if that remained open. Usually you need to retire the car if that sticks open, or
you just need to close it.
Yeah, but if it doesn't close, the team can manually close it. They sort of slam it and then tape
that's what
it.
I mean. Like, usually they call you into the pits and then they just push it down.
Yeah, then you can't touch the button, which I think is rather tempting for a lot of drivers, as it does give you a significant amount of extra speed. As Aeon P3 with a 32.6
from him.
Yeah, very respectable. Voting web actually out very early again, looking to get on with the qualification session here, perhaps trying to make use of the tyres that he's got left for the session, and it'll be interesting to see by how much he'll be able to improve on the lap. I think it'll be a bit more time before we see a lot of the other drivers actually coming out as well. So, well, let us see what happens here when voting, who validates yet again on his outlaps, will how much he'll improve, if he can even improve. That's another question. If voting can actually improve, I'm sure he can. I'm sure he's probably got a lot more left in him compared to a 32.7.
He's invalidated his outlap, so hopefully for him he hasn't done that too late round the lap.
No, he did it very early.
Hasn't, so it will be a nice valid lap for voting web, assuming he doesn't mess it up.
Don't mess it up, voting. It's all the pressure's on you now. So we watch voting barrel his way through the first sector and through the S's for a second time in this Q3 session. We've now seen Fuzzle and D10 also on outlaps then. I don't think voting's going to be encountering them through his travels around the circuit. And up to turn 9 and oh my goodness. As he's hard on the brakes then coming into turn 11 after he came through turn 10. He's now on the power and will activate his DRS before he uses that extra 20 kilometers an hour to make, well, it's probably going to be 30 kilometers an hour. It's quite a long straight here, getting about 199 miles an hour top speed. Was voting web well over 300 kilometers an hour. Do remember that 300 kilometers is equivalent to 186 miles an hour. So voting doing.
Why do you know that?
Reasons. Just reasons.
Like, why is it the first thing you know, like 180 kilometers per hour is 300? Or whatever it was.
Honestly, I have no idea. Just one of the things I know. Voting web, P2. Very good effort.
And that will be the best he can do in the session, unless he's got fuel to go again. I think possibly what he's doing is recharging his battery, then he'll go for another lap shortly after.
As Fuzzle just begins a flying lap with D10 right behind him. So let's see what Fuzzle in the Verstappen car can do. He's equipped the Red Bull for today, and I'm sure Fuzzle will do a fantastic job. Currently sat P9. I think he's got a lot of work to do. Well, it's quite obvious he's got a lot of work to do, but he's more than capable of being quite a bit faster than he is at the moment then. And let's see, yeah, he's already close to 4 tenths up.
They're all trying to prepare for when Fuzzle comes. They're all just waiting on the inside already, nicely letting him through there.
Oh, is that someone? Jack, there's D10. I think Jack pulled when D10... Well, actually, no, there's a bit of a further distance and a further gap behind. But, yeah, Jack and I thought it was a little sketchy from Jack Imac when D10 was also behind. Oh
He was
no,
trying to
they're
get it in
slipstreaming.
the toe.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's what they're doing. Bit of slipstreaming from D10 and Jack Imac. Those two are actually working together very well. Quite a lot of
they
bunching.
did it last week as well in Saudi
Mm.
Arabia. There was a very nice toe. They traded each other. D10 would go out for the first run, and then about a minute later, Jack Imac would come out, so D10 would get that run down the strip, and then on his lap, Jack Imac would get the return favour, and that worked nicely for them. I believe Jack Imac got third on the grid, which he did convert to a race victory as Puzzle puts himself P7 and D10 actually displaces it to P7 and Puzzle down to P8. Teek's beginning his first run. There's a yellow flag. That's D10 slowing down, I think.
Yeah, voting is going
There's a
again.
yellow flag in the final corner as well.
Yeah, I think that's just for drivers going slowly. But BP Ace has invalidated his lap, and that's his qualifying session over then. BP Ace will
P9
not.
at best for him.
Yeah, I think who's next? That's Liam Boelder's going to be next across the line then to set a representative lap time to set the final lap time in the race. In qualification session, sorry. Yes, the BP Ace will not be any higher than P9.
Liam Boulder's only half a tenth up, so that won't. It'll be close with A, and he should get ahead if he can keep the gap roughly the same as it is right now, but he might not go any further unless he pulls another 2 tenths in this final sector. He's just coming through into the last corner now. There's a yellow flag for D10, trying to get out of people's way. Liam Boulder goes second. Very nice lap from him.
Voting's still improving actually here.
Next up is Aeon.
Yeah, it is. I don't know how much he's improved by. I don't know how much he's improved by. But
I don't know. Coming into the final corner now, he's still going with his lap, not abandoned it, so he must be up by at least something. He goes P3, displacing voting web. Jack Imac goes to the top.
Shakos, what can he do? P2 only.
P2.
Pyro getting very loose out the final corner, doesn't improve. Voting's invalidated.
9. Pyro goes into P6, D10 in the pit, and so is Puzzle. Is D10 about to get a penalty for blocking Puzzle? I don't think so.
So Pyro will start P11 then.
Yes, he will. Who was 11? Who was not touching P2?
It might be an L-Plan.
Yeah, it would have been L-Plan.
So L-Plan will start P10 then.
Yeah. It's a shame though when people in front of you have grid penalties and you can't advance further. Especially when they know they're going to be starting at the back of the grid anyway. And I think it's slightly unfair, that they still get to go into. This is more about real life than league racing, but when you know you're starting from the back, but you still get into Q3 or something.
Yeah.
And then you're hampering other people's chances of going any better. Anyway, I'll stop with my little tangent now.
No, I do. No, I do completely understand where you're coming from. It is sometimes rather annoying.
If you had a bang on the screen, my phone fell off my slightly less than ideal setup that I have to use. Because to get my audio on the stream, I have to be. I have to use my phone, which I put on my boom arm, which normally has my mic in it, but my phone doesn't fit, so I have my phone on top of it, and so there's quite a few foolages.
Yeah, I mean, I did actually hear a story the other day, or actually yesterday, about some guy who doesn't have a webcam, so he uses his phone as well for creator series and stuff, and he actually tapes his phone to his monitor, like straight up gaffer tapes. I don't think I'm prepared to do that much damage to my monster. So I think I'm going to take a short break here for a few minutes before we get started. I'm not sure if you want to as well, Nomi.
I'm just getting the Wikipedia up. For those who don't know, it's time for the podcast. Wikipedia's trying to convince me to donate. Go away.
Do not donate to
No
them.
handouts here.
Oh, and
okay, so
I think Power GT's forgotten his setup.
oh, wait, he didn't drive out, so
No, he didn't apply. Well, I'm not sure. Can you put it? Oh dear. Well, I'm going to take a short break, and I'll leave you in the capable of hands of Numi for a little bit.
okay, it's podcast time. It's the best time of any race weekend here. It's where It's where we just read off Wikipedia. So, the Circuit of the Americas, which is abbreviated to COTA, is a Grade 1 FIA specification motor racing track located in Austin, Texas, in the USA. It's home to the United States Grand Prix, which is what we are doing here. It's our own virtual version. And a few other series, including MotoGP, World Endurance Championship, and NASCAR's Texas Grand Prix. It previously hosted Australian V8 supercars as well. The circuit and Grand Prix were first proposed in the middle of 2010. The circuit was first in the United States to be purpose-built for Formula One. That was conceived by promoter Tavo Helmond, with the assistance of Herman Tilke. Also designed Sepang, Shanghai, Yas Marina, Istanbul, Bahrain, somewhere I've never heard of, the Korean Grand Prix and the Indian Grand Prix, as well as reprofiling Hockenheim and Fuji Speedway. What else is there? Formula One attendance records. A crowd of 117,429 spectators watched the United States Grand Prix in November of 2012, after 4 years of Formula One not hosting a Grand Prix in the USA. In October 2022, the 3-day Grand Prix event drew a record number of fans, with around roughly 440,000 people attended the event, breaking Formula One's attendance record of 400,000 set at the previous year's United States Grand Prix for an event held in North America. Sunday's race drew over 150,000 spectators to the circuit, breaking the inaugural Formula One race held at the circuit's attendance back in 2012. The surge was due to the popularity of Drive to Survive in the USA, and the honouring of the 2020 tickets as the United States Grand Prix was cancelled due to reasons that I don't think we can say on Twitch. Well, you probably can, but you know what it is. The final plan of the circuit was released on September 1st, 2010, showing a design inspired by the European tradition of sculpting the circuit to the contours of the land. It draws from several European Formula One circuits, including a recreation of Maggott's Beckett's at Silverstone, which is the S's, Hockenheim's Arena Bends, which I assume is towards the end of the middle sector, and the Red Bull Ring's Sebring that corner. I'll just Google that to see.
Alright, I hate to interrupt it, but we've got 5 red lights.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
And it's lights out, and away we go then for the US Grand Prix. Looks like a good getaway from Jack Carmack out front. Although Shakos might be under a bit of pressure. There's Ayan and Liam Boyle just trying to go round the outside. They almost go 3 wide going into turn 1. A couple of drivers running wide. That's the other McLaren of Sweatback Flame. Shakos is dropping back like a stone. Here he is just falling. There's someone shooting off in the background, someone going very, very wide. Was that Sweatback? Yeah.
Right off, and that's a virtual safety car already. I didn't even notice we were going. I was too busy podcasting.
Yeah, so Sweatbag there, he just seemed to get a little pushed, and yeah, he's got no front wing, which is why we've got this virtual safety car then. So he'll be in at the end of this lap to change the wing. We were told no murder. I think this is just a little bit of assault. So we'll wait to see what else unfolds in the race. But yeah, Shakos really fell back there at the start of the race. So as it stands, Jack Imac on hards, as well as the rest of the top four top five actually, with Teeks the highest medium compound tyre runner, Shakos and El Plan on the hards as well, with BP Ace on mediums. Oh no! Drive-through penalty for Jack Imac.
Oh, Jack.
For speeding under VSC.
Tier 2 last night, and Jack's accelerated a bit too early.
I think Jack did this before.
Unless he gets a safety car.
I'm fairly sure Jack's done that before.
Probably has.
And he's going to go in early. He's going to get it. He's going to get it in and out of the way. Oh, that's so unfortunate for Jack Imac.
And he's sped in the pit lane as well.
That is not an ideal start for Jack Imac or Shakos, the two on the front row. As now, so Liam Board leads.
Got a drive-through penalty, sped in the pit lane, and still set the fastest lap.
Just Jack Imac things. Yes, Liam Boulder leads from Ayan and D10 up there in P3 at the moment. Voting Web sits in P4, but he's under a little bit of pressure from Teeks behind. Of course, Teeks on that slightly softer compounder tyre at the moment is going to be making a lot more of an impact into Voting's race than I think we would have really anticipated early on. So Sweatback is just changed his front wing now. Yeah, and Jack Imac. Yeah, when Jack stops, he's also going to get a 5-second penalty. Jay-Z and Hart fighting away. And look at this little squabble here that involves about 4 or 5 cars. They're all squabbling around for position, trying to find space on the track as they all try and file into the slipstream and find ways to get down the inside, round the outside. Stefan now making... that's Haas making a move. And now here comes Stefan down the inside of the pair of them. Luckily, there's no almost contact actually between Jay-Z and the Sneaky Lagger as they all try and file their way through. They're still wheel to wheel. Sneaky Lagger and Jay-Z now. Jay-Z gets contact. I think, it almost looked like Jay-Z was round. He had some big contact with the Sneaky Lagger there, and that sent Jay-Z back down to P17. He was actually at the front of this queue, but now he is actually right at the rear of it. I don't think Zaki's Beast has had a particularly good start either. Pyro and Fuzzle also trading positions now, with Pyro making his way up into P9.
I think we've got ahead of Teeks as well as all that was going on at the end of the straight. Hart is dropping back positions. Hart's into the pits. Did he pick up some damage? There is a wing change ready. Hart's is changing his front wing. So there was some form of contact that's damaged Hart's front wing there. I can hear a slight echo through your mic. You may want to see if that can be fixed.
I don't think there's...
myself again.
Maybe you've still got volume on something. Like, I don't know. Because I don't think my mic shouldn't be echoing. I wouldn't be too sure where that'd even be from, but it's fine. Maybe I've got my volume up. I don't know. But then, as we head into...
And looking for a move for the race lead, Liam Border tried to block him up, and it's on the inside. They're side by side on lap 3 here. And Liam Border are side by side coming into sector 3 and go for the switchback on the race leader and gets his nose ahead for the time being, but Liam Border has the inside and goes for another switchback. They're now side by side. They've been side by side for about half a lap at this point. They're still side by side, and he's going to have the inside again. Through the penultimate corner, Liam Border gets pushed slightly wide. They're still battling it out. They've been side by side for practically a full lap now, but N squeezes his way past and into the race lead.
Yeah, great bit of racing between those two. As now Liam pulls back into the slipstream. It's going to be 3 wide coming into turn 1 almost.
D10.
Yeah, D10's trying to steam around the outside of Liam Boada, who's held up a little bit and is pinned sort of a little bit by the AlphaTauri as Liam desperately tries to filter his way now around the outside, but D10 muscles his way through there and is now up to P2, where they are remaining in P1. Liam Boada has lost a couple of positions there. That was a brilliant racing. We got a yellow flag.
BPA's and El Plan have gone round through the S's.
Indeed, they
I'm
have.
not sure what's happened there between the two
Oh,
of
and
them.
Fuzzle's off the track. Fuzzle's off the track in his little fight with Petter Flat there. I don't think there's any damage between those two, but they're certainly off the track as there's a huge squabble now as voting goes a little deep in his bid to try and get ahead of Liam Buelda. He's now going to have to go defensive against Teeks as they barrel down this back straight now. A lot of the drivers with DRS. I don't think D10's going to get close to Ayan as here we go, wheel to wheel then between Teeks and Voting Web, although a D10 is actually going to try and find one around the outside. Voting Web and Teeks still going to be fighting. Teeks pushes Voting as wide as he dares, but now Voting Web does have that inside line, forcing Teeks the long way round, but now that outside is again going to become the inside line. A lot of switchbacks. Now, Voting Web will try and see if he can get some better traction, but I think he's going to be defenseless compared to the speed that those medium tyres have at this early stage of the race. And Teeks makes his way up into P4. Liam stays in P3, but is right on the back of D10, who I think is struggling. It wasn't quite as fast at this stage in the race compared to Ayan or Liam. I think we're going to see Teeks making his way through the field rather quickly here. Well, I'm not sure how quickly he'll be able to do it.
Like, Fuzzle's gone round into the pit lane almost. So has someone else. That's Zakis Beast. Fuzzle and Zakis Beast have made contact.
Oh, that's Giannuzzi round as well.
Also off. I think it was actually Giannuzzi and not Zakis Beast. I just saw the sort of colours and assumed it was an Alpine.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened there.
Oh yeah, it's an Alfa Romeo. Fuzzle's having a nose change.
Yeah, trying to. He must have had some contact there with perhaps Giannuzzi. Let's look at this fight for pretty much the lead of the race down to P7. Everybody incredibly close together, and I'm sure it won't be long before Petter Flat and his Pyro.
Shakos has made a mistake.
Yeah, Shakos was really struggling for grip there. Although he's got a good exit this time, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough against the medium tyres of Pyro, who now pulls to the inside of the Ferrari driver. He is in a Ferrari. Do not question the livery. And Pyro up into P6 then.
It's either like the 2019 Renault, like 2020 maybe as well. The 2020 testing Renault, that's what it is.
That black Renault was a beautiful livery. It's a real shame they didn't use that because that would have been honestly a brilliant livery. Further in the background, El Plan making his way ahead of Stefan. Now the two Williams getting close together on track. I think also Jay-Z got passed by BP Ace, so there was a position change with him and BP Ace. Back at the front.
How was Jack Imac P11?
Jack Imac things, I guess.
Everyone else has like murdered each other.
Yeah, that as well. There's been quite a bit of chaos in the first part.
Laggers up into P9, Power GT, and P10 as well. They're not far off this lead battle.
They are literally probably from the leader. They are really close. Yeah, they're about 10 seconds off the lead only.
9 seconds off the leader.
Yeah, and D10.
The largest gap in that is them to Petter Flat.
And D10 losing perhaps a little bit of time, and that's holding up the McLaren of Liam Buelda just more than he would have bargained for, and Teeks will be looking to capitalise on that. But it's important now that Liam does make that move as Jay-Z picks up a penalty for exceeding track limits. It's very, very important that Liam makes a move or he tries to get ahead of D10, otherwise he's going to be completely swallowed by Teeks. Liam goes defensive coming into turn 12, so too does Ayan and D10. It's sort of reminds me a little bit of Singapore with the fact that because the driver ahead's got the DRS, no matter how fast you are, it's close to impossible to get that overtake done. And Liam goes a bit deep. He goes quite deep, actually, coming through this third and final sector, and he almost runs into the back of D10. But luckily not losing too much time here, as it's going to be a game of sort of cat and mouse to really decide when they're going to go for a move, and it's going to be a case of try and pressure the other driver into a mistake because they're just slightly too fast for you. Liam's actually got a lot less ERS to work with compared to D10 as well, which puts him at a quite significant disadvantage because ERS is incredibly powerful pretty much everywhere on all 22 tracks that we have this year. 22, 23, same thing.
Well, it's 22 minus... It's 23, and then, but that's including Imola, which we haven't seen in real life. But Jay-Z trying to go for a switchback on Zakis Beast, can't make that one work. Would have been a very nice move if he pulled it off.
Mm. And I think D10, he seems to be running a bit more. He seems to be running, I think, less wing, because he's really gaining nicely on the straights, but in the corners he's struggling just a little bit more, I think, compared to
Partly also because
Aeon.
of the DRS, just allowing him to gain.
Mm.
But Liam Border with the DRS isn't gaining much on him.
Here we go. Pyro and Voting Web are traded for positions. Pyro makes that move under DRS assistance. Yeah, Pyro seems to have a little bit more speed. Of course he would. He's on the mediums compared to Voting on the hard. But it won't be too much longer before... Oh, Pyro getting very out of shape. And that's going to allow Voting Web to get right back down the inside. Pyro's going to try and filter around the outside and try and get a better exit. That outside becomes the inside. I feel like Voting sort of let him go a little bit and didn't fight him too hard without losing much time himself. That was pretty good racing there from Voting Web. That is through the turn 13 and... Actually, sorry, through the turn 15 and 16 complex. That's very, very technical part of the circuit. And yeah, you can see just Liam he's actually losing time to D10, despite the fact they've both got DRS active. He loses close to about half a tenth, so D10 is definitely running less wings, which is going to make him very, very difficult to overtake unless you've got a significant pace advantage, which at the moment Liam doesn't have as much of a pace advantage as I think he would have liked to.
D10 sliding a bit on the rear, because Estes might invite Liam to get his way past.
He's going to really struggle though through the first sector.
The gap from D10 to A is probably the closest it's been since maybe around lap 3.
Yeah, and I feel like with D10's less wing, this could see him perhaps ahead and another change for the race lead then. So here we go. Down the back straight yet again. D10 activates some DRS. We've got a yellow in sector 2. I think that's someone round. But here we go. D10 to the outside of Aeon for the race lead. He's going to keep his wheels in there. Although, I think Aeon's just a bit later on the brakes. There's a bit of contact between Pyro and Teeks as they almost switch positions. Teeks back down the inside of Pyro. Makes the switch back work. Teeks desperately defending and blocking all over the track as cleanly as he possibly can to prevent that Mercedes of Pyro from gaining even more time on him. And this is actually sort of opening up a bit of a gap between the top 3 and the next sort of 4 drivers. And that could be pretty impactful when the race comes. As yeah, now Teeks will be without DRS to defend from Pyro behind, which could get pretty interesting. Oh no, he does. He's managed to get himself back into the... Oh no, he was in the DRS apparently when the detection point came around. D10 is not going to make that move coming through into turn 1. Neither is anybody else on the track. Everyone seems to sort of be in a bit more of a management phase rather than a super aggressive attacking phase. They're sort of... If the move... It's sort of their attitude seems to be at the moment. If the move happens, it happens. But we're not going to really force an overtake or really burn through our tyres in ERS to get that done. I think actually Liam has managed to gain a lot more energy compared to D10.
Drop out of the DRS. It's not been a good first sector from D10. He's dropped out of the DRS of Aeon.
Yeah, he's made a mistake.
Encourage Liam Bewalder to... I don't think he made a mistake. He was just really slow through all of the S's. Like he was dropping time everywhere, not just a lot in one. Here goes Liam Bewalder.
Here he goes to the inside with the DRS assistance.
Liam up into second place. Pyro gets past Teeks as well.
Cleanly this time for Pyro.
Also going to go for the move on Teeks. Yes, he is. He goes late on the brakes. There's a bit of contact between Voting Web and Teeks. They're side by side still. Teeks on the inside, Voting Web on the outside, but Voting Web outside line will become the inside. Teeks brakes early. He's going to go for a switchback. There's even more contact, but Voting Web now gets himself ahead, as does Shakos. He gets pushed off the racing line a bit, and he drops 3 positions in the span of about half a lap.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Teeks, really. He sort of got forced wide and then compromised here, compromised there, and it's really compromised his race a little bit, considering that he's... Yeah, especially considering that he's on those medium tyres as well, the faster tyres at the moment. And I think it depends when rain really arrives, as we were told that there was going to be rain during the race. And I think when the rain arrives is really important here, because the guys on the hards might have selected it because then they can use their tyres can be the fastest when they eventually have to box for the rain, whereas the medium runners, if it comes early, they would have done well. Because no one pit box for the softs, it was an indicator it was going to be about halfway through the race before we even saw any droplets. So maybe the mediums might be a couple of laps. They might be very, very old, and they might be stretching the stint an extra few laps to wait for the rain to come, whereas the hard runners are sort of going to be boxing when the rain arrives, which is quite smart for them. And here we go, perhaps a change for the race lead. Almost looked like Liam Border was going to make that move on Ayan and try and make his way back to the lead of the race, but he was unable to do so as of now, although Ayan getting a little slidey on the rear end of that AlphaTauri. Shakos getting ahead of Voting Web now on his little comeback drive, although Voting is ahead of him. Oh, I was saying Shakos was ahead of Voting when they're about 8/10 apart. I'm not sure what happened there, but I think Voting's having some internet issues. He's glitching all around the circuit, which is why, yeah, that's why he's having some. That's why that position was sort of all over the place. So we'll take whatever Voting's doing with a slight pinch of salt, really, as that lag and glitch will send him perhaps a little over the track, a little bit all over the place compared to what we're used to here. So at the moment then, Sweatback is currently sat in last, but he's not far off. He's not particularly actually far off the lead, considering that he had to box on the opening lap as well. So I think everyone's very, very close together. We've had no retirements so far in the race, despite the huge amounts of action and that we've seen as D10's, first of the leading pack to pick one up. I think Liam knows now's the time to attack compared to Ayan. I think he wants to be able to have a bit more of a cushion when they come into the rain window to sort of have some comfortability when it comes to boxing, because he doesn't want to be in an intense fight and make that pitting mistake as Liam Wilder pulls to the outside now of Ayan. They're both going to be as late on the brakes as they dare. Ayan on that inside line outbrakes Liam just enough to keep the position. Liam almost thinking about trying to make a move to the inside as they come into turn 13, but he wasn't quite close enough to do so. Sweatback Flame has also just picked up another 3-second time penalty then in the race, and Ayan continues to maintain that lead. He's doing a very, very good job out front, and both are on. That's about 10% less energy for Liam Wilder at this stage in the race. Most of the drivers are on very similar amounts. I think Shakos has got the most out of this leading pair, and Teeks has dropped off a little bit compared to the rest of these guys at the front. He's actually without DRS, and because he won't be getting that DRS in that sort of DRS train, he's only going to fall slightly further back, and he'll just accumulate over time, really, for his slight demise.
Probably what Liam's doing, probably Liam's trying to get ahead, before the rain comes, because obviously when the rain comes, DRS gets disabled. So possibly he's thinking about that and is wanting to get ahead, and then hoping DRS gets disabled pretty soon after he gets ahead. So then Aaron won't be able to fight him back nearly as easily.
Yeah, it'll be very, very tricky. Are we seeing some spots of rain? Not quite yet. It's still very, very cloudy out there, and we're definitely going to see rain. I think starting on the hards was the best choice, because the rain is going to come at a time when the hards are just about starting to fall off. Fuzzle
gone round.
Yep, he's round through the start, actually through the middle part of the S's. Actually, I think that's through turn 7. He's actually gone off there. I think it might have even been 5.
Well, Stefan's also gone off.
It's not slippy though. The Sneaky Lag has picked up 3 seconds. These guys are just, I think, not really enjoying the grip that their tyres have got at the moment, which is why they seem to be falling off just a little bit more. As here we go. Then Fuzzle is going to get a position ahead on Stefan then. His tyres are slightly cooler than the medium shod Stefan, and Fuzzle in the Red Bull will move up into P19. Incredibly audacious move considering their positions, as Liam stays behind Ayan for yet another lap. I'm wondering if Liam is perhaps trying to charge his battery up a bit, but I'm sure in the rain that's not going to be the most useful.
I see some droplets starting to fall on Liam Warder's car. The rain has just started to arrive.
Indeed, Power GT and
Aon's going a bit wide. I think this is the lap when we see the change of the lead. There's now a few droplets on the camera as well. The rain has arrived. Power GT has gone for the intermediate turn. So
along with
Jay-Z.
Stefan's retired.
In fact, Stefan out. Is that going to be a safety car? Yes, it is. The safety car's just been deployed. Just as it was looking like we were going to see a change of race lead. And Power GT, Jay-Z and Sweatback Flame might be kicking themselves a bit because they pitted a lap before the safety car came out.
Well, to be honest,
surely now everyone's going to be coming in.
Yeah, I think even if it takes a couple of laps for the rain to really make it into intermediate conditions, I think that there'd be.
It will be by the end of the safety car.
They've
all got their pit lights on. They're all coming in.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the sensible strategy choice. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see who gets held up.
Teammates in the game. And that's the thing.
Yeah, that's
not based on their normal teams.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who actually gets held up a little bit here. But I think Stefan actually hit the pit wall on entry. If I sort of saw it right, it seemed like he just smacked into the pit wall.
I'm pretty sure the only teammate pairing I know is that Liam Bewalder is teammates with Voting Webb.
So everyone's going to be in now.
Very slowly into the pit. How early is Aon's box compared to all the others? Because Aon's box is quite early. Shakos has sped in the pit lane. Is Aon going to be held by Voting Webb? No, he's not. Liam Bewalder emerges as he was behind Aon. Behind the AlphaTauri driver. D10 emerges third. Voting Webb stays fourth. Pyro drops down to sixth. I'm not sure who. I think he had to double stack with someone.
Yeah, he had a double stack with Liam.
Jack Hymack had to serve a penalty. But he's coming back out now.
It's not actually changed Jack's position at all. BPA's in. Yeah. Pretty much everyone's in. So the guys that boxed for the Inters early just stay in position because obviously they pitted under green flag, everyone else pitted under safety car conditions. Although, has Power GT gained a couple of positions? I'm not too sure. Haas is, I think, going to be one of the last in. Actually, Fuzzle's going to be the last driver in to get rid of those tyres.
Tyro and Liam that had the double stack. Jack Hymack's not got a penalty under safety car for multiple warnings.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate considering it's under safety car as well. I'm sure Jack will be sort of kicking himself a little bit that he managed to get it under the safety car. Yeah, sure. So it won't actually be too much longer before the safety car comes in, and it is definitely intermediate conditions out there now. So it happened actually rather fast. A different race that I was on Thursday was there was rain, but it was never hard enough to switch over to Inter, so some guys didn't box. I thought it was the wrong choice, but it ended up being the right choice as it dried up and everyone had to box again.
Yeah, there's sort of conditions where it's you're trying to live with it on slicks are horrible. Especially when you're racing against AI, that is even worse.
Because they just will be on slick grip. Their grip doesn't tend to adjust as much as yours will, which is rather unfortunate. But hey,
a couple months ago, Webby87 had that video where he made it go into full wet conditions, but he blocked the pit lane at Monaco. So all the AI were going out on slick tires in full wet conditions, and all that happened was that they were understeering more. None of them spun off or anything.
But just
fair,
incredible skills.
Game, so it might be different now.
They just have incredible skills. Safety car will be in at the end of this lap probably then, as we'll wait for the rest of the drivers to come to the back of the field and get us going again on lap 16. Now might be a good time to run through what sort of position changes we've had.
I was literally just about to look at that.
So, if you'd like to run us through them then, Numi.
Okay, so we got Aon sitting in P1 at the moment. He's up 3. Why is Why are
That was
positions changing under safety car?
it's just people that were. Oh, Fuzzle's been in again. Yeah, people were just going incredibly slowly, so people were then slamming on brakes. Yeah, it was just a bit of chaos, really.
It's an up 3, currently leading from 4th on the grid. Liam Warder up 1 from 3rd. D10's come up 3 from 6th, now in 3rd. And Voting Web up 1 from 5th. Shakos down 3 from the front row, down in 5th now. Pyro making that recovery. This is where he finished qualifying, but he started down in 11th after that grid penalty. Cheeks maintaining position. Sneaky Lagger up 11 after doing his usual antics in qualifying. Petter Flat up 3 from 12th. Jack Imac from pole position sped under that virtual safety car on lap 1. Now down in 10th. But this safety car should help him catch up. El Plan down 1 from 10th. BP Ace got into Q3 on his XLR debut. He's down 3. Power GT with that qualifying ban is up 7. Zakis Beast up 4. Jay-Z also knocked out in Q1. He's up 1. Safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap. Gianucci down 2 from 14th, now in 16th. Spitback Flame down 4 from 13th. Hearts down 3 from 15th. And Fuzzle being really unlucky today, down 11 from 8th on the grid.
Yeah, so pretty much most drivers actually changing at least one position across the whole series of the race, and I think it's relatively easy to decide what tyres they're on. They're all on the intermediates, slightly varying ages, but only for a couple of drivers, and the difference is rather minimal. So then, we'll wait to see when Aeon's going to jump the gun and get going here, back at Circuit of the Americas.
El Plan has had a spin.
Oh dear.
Not even on the restart.
As Aeon then gets going, putting the power down as much as he possibly can. I think he's got a fairly good start, although Liam Boiler's under a bit of pressure from D10 behind. D10's back in the slipstream. D10 pulls to the inside in the Aston Martin, slams on the brakes late. Bit of contact between the two of them as Liam tried to turn in, but D10 was still there as he was so late on the brakes. And now Liam Boiler drops back into 3rd. No, he wouldn't have picked up damage. It was only really a rub. Wasn't really much of slamming contact as Haas and is that El Plan I think broke his front wing, did he not? Or he's changed something?
I think so. He had a spin and he came into the pit lane. How GT gets a 3-second time bounty for multiple track limit violations. So has DRS been disabled yet? It would have been for the safety car, but has it been re-enabled as Aeon went really quite wide there, although it has given him a lovely exit, so no pressure from D10 behind, and no DRS yet for any of the drivers.
I'd be very surprised if we saw some DRS. Looks like Shakos doesn't.
On D10.
Oh.
They're side by side. Liverwater not leaving D10 all that much space after what happened at turn 1. They're very close to contact, neither giving an inch more than they have to, but D10 edges his way ahead for now. So Liam Board going for the dive, making contact with the Aston Martin and getting himself up into 2nd place.
Yeah, and further back, Shakos was battling away with Voting Web, and Voting went wide there, and that's caused him to drop behind Pyro as well, his Mercedes teammate. So plenty of work for Voting to do then for the rest of this race, down in P6, and still with some pretty laggy internet at the moment. Teeks is like pushing Voting around with his front wing. Teeks has got a lot more speed at this stage of the race, especially for a driver who's so proficient in the wet, like Voting Web. And here's looks like it could almost be 3 wide actually coming into turn 1. Jack Hymack also almost getting involved between that scrap with Petter Flat and Sneaky Lagger, and they are still fighting away here. Petter Flat makes that move up the middle. Jack goes very wide on the inside coming through the start of the S's, but Petter Flat makes his way up into P8 now and Jack in P9, dropping Sneaky Lagger down a couple of positions there.
Jay-Z has jumped the gun and gone for the full wet compound. Be interested to see if anyone follows him with that decision. Sneaky Lagger getting out of shape in his Minardi Haas, and BP Ace getting himself ahead. Petter Flat and Jack Imac are side by side. Jack Imac kind of barging his way through.
I think Petterflat actually just sort of ran out of grip a little bit and found himself wide. And yeah, it's not wet conditions at the moment. I think that's.
Yeah, it could be.
It might be coming up to wets, and Jay-Z might have played a bit of a masterclass here. Sneaky almost thinking about
Alpine is
move,
definitely gaining on them, though.
and BP Ace almost sort of. They're all squabbling here for the lower points paying positions. Teeks and Voting Web are still fighting their way up, coming through into turn 15 now. Votes Teeks right on the inside of Voting, squeezing Voting Web as wide as he possibly can. But here we go then with Voting Web still on Teeks. Voting Web remains in that position, and Jack Imax now right on the back of the Alfa Romeo now.
And Jack Imax through into P7.
As Haas is disconnected then, which is unfortunate for him. But yeah, now Jack Imac is now up into P7 now and can perhaps try and think about attacking Voting Web in front. Jack on a bit of a comeback run here. Of course, he does also have a 3-second time penalty to contend with that he will not be best pleased with. Teeks almost thinking about a move on the outside of Jack Imac. They're going to see who gets the better exit. I think Jack might just about have the advantage compared to the Alfa Romeo behind, which means then Jack Imac up to P7. He's having a great restart and doing very, very well on those wet compound on the intermediate tyres at the moment then. So yeah, Jay-Z's really losing a lot of time. He's losing a lot of time.
He's about 2 seconds a lap slower at the moment.
Although he's gaining some time compared to Haas.
Yeah, but Haas has left the session, so he's 40 AI.
Ah, that's why then.
But if the pendulum swings and it suddenly becomes the right conditions for those full wets, Jay-Z will gain a lot of time from that thing, and hand Sneaky Lagger's now disconnected. Jay-Z gets a time penalty on those wets.
Yeah, indeed he does. Power GT, Aeon and Leon Wilder still getting very, very close to each other on the track there. Liam is desperately all over the back of that AlphaTauri, desperately trying to find his way around somehow. McLaren driver is a lot quicker at this stage of the race, but Aeon's just putting his car in the right place at the right time. And at the end of the day, that's what's important when it comes to defending. The rain isn't letting off at all, really, but it seems like it's still inters at the moment then, as Sneaky Lagger does reconnect to the session.
Losing a lot of time to our plan, but it may still change.
I think we'll have to wait and see how these conditions play out. It is pretty heavy out there, so I wouldn't be too surprised in the next sort of few laps if drivers do come in for full wet tyres. Voting Web is going to be defending against Jack Armack. He already pulls to the inside. That might just be due to a bit of lag, and Jack is right on the back of him and desperately trying to see if he can find his way ahead. Iannuzzi made his way through on Power GT in the AlphaTauri. Very, very. I think has he got the exact same livery as Ayan? It almost looks like it's the exact same.
Yeah, I think they gave their liveries to each other.
Yeah. Well, they're both actually very nice liveries, so they're doing a good job at the moment. Virtual safety car.
There's a virtual safety car. What's that come out for? Jay-Z's had a spin.
Oh, he's lost his wing.
He's coming in. Is he gonna stay on those full wets? I doubt it. Looking at the performance they've had for him,
he retires.
Pit lane.
So now we sort of haven't got a representation of how those wets are doing at the moment, which is, I'd say, rather frustrating, as now we can't really get an indicator of whether these guys are all on the right tyres or not. I think we'll see if they box. I mean, the rain seems to have got heavier. So
it does. It's definitely getting heavier.
Wait to see if drivers...
Last time we had a virtual safety car, the race leader picked up a drive-through penalty.
Yeah. Oh, Jack and Voting, what are they doing?
I like a tough Voting Web.
I think it's because Voting's sort of lagging around a little bit. That's why. But that is quickly rectified as it stands. Oh, well. We will just wait and see then till when we get going again for the virtual safety car. Of course, with the virtual safety car, we don't get any warning.
The ending graphic.
Oh!
Liam Wilder sped this time. From second place, he's sped on the virtual safety car. He's got a drive-through penalty. It's not the race leader this time. It's second place. There's also yellow flags around further back in the field. Jack Imac does now get ahead of Voting Web. Really caught Voting Web napping. Voting Web dropping a lot of time on that restart. Possibly have a spin or something of that variety. And now Liam Ward is going to try and push as hard as he can because he's got to serve this drive-through penalty.
Yeah, Voting's had a really
Voting
poor
has
exit.
he
He disconnected. That's why he was having such poor exits and why Jack Armack was able to get ahead so easily. Teeks tries to find his way around the outside of Petter Flat, but Petter Flat's having none of that. I don't think there was quite enough space, and Teeks found himself with a huge slide on the exit. Voting's game has unfortunately crashed.
D10 also sped. So Pyro is now in a net second place with Shackles P3. But Shackles with that 5-second time penalty, that will hand it to Jack Imac instead. Or maybe even down to Petterflat.
Yeah, BP Ace making his way, of course, past the ghosted Voting Web, who I'm sure will be with fury waiting to get back in the cockpit. I think Zach Beast had a spin.
On F1. Someone has. Indeed, it is Zach Beast. And Fuzzle's retired. Fuzzle's crashed out, and now there's a full safety car. And that's not going to help Liam Ward or D10, because neither of them could serve their penalties until 3 laps' time.
Yeah, so Fuzzle's had that crash at turn 10. He's had that on the exit at turn 9. It's quite a difficult corner to get right, and I find myself quite often spinning there, just lighting up the rear tyres, and I think that's what's happened to Fuzzle. He's found himself in the barriers, and he's not too pleased about that, as now with the full safety car deployed with only 8 laps remaining, it's going to be pretty tight really between the guys. I think it's going to be Leon and D10 are completely out of it now, as they haven't had the opportunity to serve the drive-through, so they're going to be in.
Water's coming into the pits. I don't think he realises that you can't serve it. If he's attempting to, possibly he's going for the wets. I think Liam Water might be gambling on the wet tyres here. It's the only possibility I see. Indeed, I believe they are the Blue Ward compound.
No, inters.
No, it's not. It's another set of inters.
Going for a fresh set of inters.
You can't serve the penalty. I think he tried to serve the penalty and then couldn't.
Well, he might just.
No.
He might just be going for a fresh set of inters. Yeah, they might be trying to take advantage of some fresher tyres once the safety car does get restarted. So.
He's in the pit lane. That is the Blue Ward compound. So Power GT's gone to the full wets. We do now have a marker for how the wet tyres are doing.
Well, Sneaky's put on a set of inters.
Alplan's also in. He might be on for the wets. So now Ayan leads from D10 and Pyro. Petterflat, Teeks, and BP Ace are all looking in good positions after this safety car bunting everyone up. And all the drivers in front of them with time penalties besides Ayan.
And Alplan also put on another set of inters.
If Ayan manages to avoid any extraneous penalties, I don't know if extraneous is the right word there, if he manages to avoid any time penalties, then that could well be a race win for the AlphaTauri driver.
Yeah, though I think it's going to be rather scary when we see that rain is so heavy, but at the end of the day, those wets might not be good enough, might not just be fast enough, or the rain might be letting up, but we are very, very close to the end, so I'd assume it's probably not going to if the full wets have been applied. It looks like it's full wet conditions out there.
Possibly it's just not worth it to come in at this point. I don't know. Are there enough laps left to make it worth it? We'll have to see what happens with Power GT. If he starts making places, then we know those wets are the tyre to be on. Yeah,
I think it just comes down to what happens when then, and I think we just wait to see that.
It's just me, but I don't think the rain is as heavy as it was maybe a lap or so ago. Possibly that's just down to where we are on the track. Are we going to see anyone deciding it's time for wets? I don't think so. So I think it is just Power GT who's going to be the only one to take the gamble. Or someone's coming in. That's hard. So is he opting for the wets?
I'm not sure really. So too is Sneaky. I think if I was outside of the points...
So I think Hearts is going on the wets. I think Sneaky might be as well.
Yeah, I think...
Yeah, they are. They are both going for the full wets.
So if I was outside the points.
But with the safety car most like... Oh dear, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah, I think.
As the safety car most likely in at the end of this lap, will it be enough for those three to cut their way through the field?
Well, it definitely is full wets out there now. It just looks so like it's pure rain. So I think it just kind of depends on exactly how fast they can be, and if the inters just obviously it's going to be worn inters compared to fresh wets on a wet track. So it's sort of these guys on the wets are going to be pretty fast. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a few of the other drivers also coming in. Just because of how much they might be struggling, and a few incidents, perhaps some spins and some crashes because of people misjudging the conditions out there. So we will wait and see what happens.
This safety car, if it is wet conditions, this safety car will be massively helping Power GT. And those behind, so Hart and Sneaky. Sneaky's had a spin, I think.
Yeah, he spun coming out of turn 11, which has sent him further back, but safety car will still be in this lap. He'll get back to he'll get to that queue before they get going then. So it'll be interesting to see if I think they're all going to try and stick it out on a set of intermediates to the end. I think, but considering those inters will be feeling pretty worn, considering those inters will be quite worn though, pitting for a set of wets under the safety car would have been a pretty smart option anyway. Just because we know the inters don't last all that long anyway, so you'd have thought they were going to stretch it, but it will be a struggle to still get to the end on those inters. So, well, I think we just wait and see the way the cookie crumbles, and if these guys do remain at the top. So let us wait and see what happens in a couple of laps' time. Then, well, it's only about 6 laps. Well, it's going to be 5 laps of racing left when Ayan comes to the line. Yeah, a few drivers into the pits then.
Opted to the pit lane, as has Liam Bewalder and a few other drivers.
So they're going to be going for wets.
Going for the full wets, I assume.
As here we go then, coming into turn 1, battling between Jack Imac and Shakos. Jack Imac goes a little deep.
D10 on his inside. For the race leader side by side, D10 on the outside gets shown the door. And now Ayan still out in front from D10 and Pyro.
Oh, there's contact! There's contact between Zaki's Beast and Haas, I think that was. And that sent Zaki's Beast wide and spinning across the gravel trap, actually. And he's dropped down to P14. I think he made contact with Haas, or maybe someone just in front of him. I wasn't quite focusing on who it was, but there certainly was contact. Here we go.
He doesn't seem particularly confident. And D10 goes for the race lead. Ayan's off the track. Ayan gets a penalty for multiple warnings. So they've all got time penalties down to Petrofat. Petrofat could win here. Being the only... Oh! There's contact. Ayan spun out and D10's gone round on the straight. There's contact with Ayan. And shown the door. Not very
Everyone's going wide. Everyone's really struggling. Everyone on the inters is really, really struggling.
Yeah. Power GT seems to be a bit tentative. He's going 3 wide with Sweatback Claim and El Plan.
Oh, they're so close.
Double. There's so many cars absolutely everywhere. Power GT carving his way through the field. Jack Imac's got a 5-second time penalty for an illegal overtake. The wets are the tire to be on right now. And Power GT is cutting his way through the field. Look how much more grip he had than Beefy, Ace and Teeks. But the two of them are going side by side. That's going to hold him up.
Oh, there's more contact.
There's a bit of contact. Teeks is trying to get in the pit lane, but there's so many cars around him. They're all funneling into the pit. D10's into the pit, possibly with some damage after the contact with Ayan.
He's retired.
And D10 retires from the session in the pit lane. Power GT going down the inside now. VP Ace. He's cutting his way through the field, but there's only a few laps to go. Ace goes way too deep into turn 1. A bit of contact with L Plan as well. Sneaky Lagger is going to try and follow Power GT through as much as he can. The gap from Power down to Power GT is only 5 seconds and it's coming down rapidly.
Yeah, wet's 100% the tyre to be on. Yeah, wet's 100%.
It's coming down by about half a second already this lap. Now, which of the wet runners can master it the best? Jack Imac makes a move on Shakos. for all those still on inters, it's too late to pit again. It's too late for them to pit, but they just need to try and live with it on these tyres. Shackles and Petafat are side by side, but here comes Power GT coming past them. He's in the slipstream. Sneaky Lager's trying to go past L Plan. Power GT is trying to get past them. Petafat trying to go for the inside on Shackles, can't make the move. Look how much grip Power GT has in comparison to the other two in front of it. He's going flying around the outside of them. Left Shackles completely the dust. Ooh.
Yeah, and Pyro has actually made a move on Aeon for the lead. They're still actually fighting almost side by side. As we got a yellow flag in Sector 3. I think that someone round that Shackles round.
Going for it on Petaflat. He makes the move just about, but he's shaky from Power GT. He's now up into 4th place, and he's only 4 seconds behind Pyro in the race lead. And this battle with N is only going to help Power GT.
Yeah, indeed it is.
Only a few laps to go though. Is he gaining fast enough? Quite frankly, yes he is.
Yeah, I think we'll just have to.
On Petafat as well.
Yeah, and I think we'll just have to see.
I don't want to believe it, but I think Hearts could win this race. Because he's the only one on the wet without a time penalty.
That is so true. A hard win would be absolute scenes.
I don't know what I'd do, but everyone in front of him has at least 3 seconds of time penalty. And
oh no! Power GT's in the wall!
Power GT's gone!
Safety car!
There's a virtual safety car.
Oh, Power GT found himself in the barriers.
Oh no, so Sneaky Lager is in the net race lead, but effectively, but Hearts, so they're going to drain the time that they've got remaining. It's going to be massive for Pyro and Jack. I can't believe the fact that Hearts, I think, is my favourite to win this race. He's only 2.6 seconds behind now. Why is Pyro going so slowly? Why are the front guys going so slowly below their delta?
It's just whatever the delta says. It just kind of.
Hearts' delta seems to be so much higher.
It just depends on whatever position they are in the circuit. If it's, you know, some places it's going to be, you're going to lose more.
To a safety car.
Oh, we got a full safety car then. So
It's going to come in with like 1 or 2 laps to go.
Yeah, so pitting now, I think they wouldn't get to the back of the queue. I think they'd struggle to get to the back of the queue if they box now. So
they've got to live it out. They've got to try.
Yeah, I think they've got no chance. And Sneaky.
Hearts,
is he going to be able to pull that gap?
He's probably going to win this race.
He's just got to keep it between the white lines, really, and we could see a brand new race winner here in XLR Tier 1. And that would be quite a miracle.
I don't think he's ever won a Tier 2 race. That's the thing.
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see if anyone at the top, they're rightfully so, they're staying out, apart from El Plan, who's in. So El Plan pulls into the pit lane and along with Sweatback Flame and Shackles.
Only on one warning at this stage. He is probably going to win the race. Unless someone on the wet tyres... who's the leader of the wet behind him? Voting Web. But he also has a time penalty.
Yeah.
3 seconds. The leader with no penalties is Giannuzzi. So if Giannuzzi manages to get up 4 positions and pass Hearts, I think he can genuinely win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see whether some of the intermediate compound tyre runners get in the way enough to split up Sneaky and Haas far so that Haas will be outside. But Sneaky's got 6 seconds of penalties, whereas Haas has got none. And the guys on the Inters are on 8, 3 and 3. So I think even if eventually, even if the wet runners don't actually get past the guys on Inters, Haas could still actually win, which I think would be an incredible feat.
3 seconds of Pyro, which on a safety car restart is not impossible, and there'll be 1 or 2 laps to go, unless the rain lightens, which it might actually be doing. It doesn't seem to be as heavy as it was a lap or 2 ago.
I don't think it's going to be a big enough impact though, with only 2 laps to go.
Said it's time for slicks. I highly doubt that.
Well, I mean, someone could try it. Yeah, the rain's.
So it's going to be whether it's a battle of the tyres. It's if the Inters are the better tyre, it's Petaflat winning. If the wets are the better tyre, it's Hearts. I reckon.
I mean, I
If
think
the Inters are the better tyre, why are they're going it so incredibly slowly? Why is Ayan going so slow? That's not the speed limit, sir.
he's.
I think that's below the 50 kilometers per hour or whatever limit we have in place. Or is it 50 miles per hour? Whatever it is, Ayan's speed is probably lower than that.
Right then, so we wait to see when Pyro is going to jump the gun and get going here for the safety car restart. Pyro will lead the way on old intermediate tyres compared to the fresh, wet compound tyres that the guys behind him have. The rain's lighting up here and it might become Inters by the time the checkered flag falls. But will those tyres be far too worn to get going again as Pyro accelerates round? He just
really
about guns down.
He jumped in before the line, I think. Has Ayan done that before the line? Yes, he has. Ayan's letting Pyro back through. Jack Imax's going to try and make it 3 wide. There's a Petaflat looks to be slightly out of control.
Pyro went way too wide. Pyro went way too wide.
What is going on? Sneaky Laggards in the race lead. He's got 8 seconds of time penalty. Or 6 seconds, sorry. Jack Imax made contact with Ayan. Hearts is into P3. Hearts is in the net race lead with no time penalties to his name. That was a horrendous voice crack. BP Ace is also looking good for a strong result. So Hearts are still in the net race lead. The wets don't seem to have fallen off in pace. Sneaky Lagger is in the race lead on the track with Jack Imac in second.
And yeah, it's all really kicking off here. I think pretty much anything could happen. BP Ace almost looked like, and here we go. BP Ace almost some contact there as Petaflat's on the inside of him. Oh,
there's a massive contact. There's Cheeks facing the wrong way. They're all being held up massively. Hearts is now 2 seconds behind Sneaky. He needs to stay within 6, and he will be the race winner.
Yeah,
he needs to stay within 6 seconds of Sneaky, and he wins the race today. And BP Ace has made a mistake. He's losing positions. He's one of the only other drivers with no time penalties. Hearts is now only 2.5 behind Sneaky. I think Hearts doesn't seem to have the pace to win, but he doesn't have to. He just has to stay close. And going on to the final lap, Voting Web gets past his teammate. Voting Web might be able to challenge Hearts. He does definitely seem to be faster, but he's going to have to be 3 seconds a lap faster if he wants to win the race. So, going on to the final lap, Hearts is sitting around 3 seconds back on Sneaky Lagger. With 1 to go, if he holds this gap and doesn't lose 3 seconds, he will be our race winner today.
Yeah, and just a little further.
Of what I'm watching.
Yeah,
well,
just
he is losing a lot of time from his lag as well. Oh, there's cars all over the place through the exit. There's like a 10-car scrap. Someone's facing the wrong way. That's Pyro. Pyro's been spun and he retires.
As Sneaky picks up another 3.
That's up to 9. So Hearts now needs to stay within 8. He needs to stay within 9 seconds now to Sneaky instead of 6. And he's 3 seconds back. Jack Imax going incredibly slowly.
I don't know what happened to Jack there. I think
3 past. Hearts is now into second place on the road, and he's in a net race lead on the final lap. If he doesn't lose 6 seconds in the last sector, he will be race winner here. And I refuse to believe it, but it is genuinely happening.
Yeah, I mean, get ready for some spoilers. Jack Imax really struggling on those intermediate tyres. No, he's still in the race, but he's still.
No, I think he's being disconnected. I think he's an AI.
It might be, but the fact that it's
sitting 2 seconds behind. Voting Web's on course for a net second place, and through the final corner, or the final 2 corners, Sneaky Lagger. It's the battle of the strategies and what tyre was the right tyre. Through the final corner, Sneaky Lagger takes it on the road.
But Haas.
But Hart has somehow won a Tier 1 race. I refuse to believe that. But Hart is a race winner.
he's certainly going to have to be my driver of the day. There's no question about it. L Plans picked up a 20-second time penalty as well at the end, but yes, Haas is your race winner then. Wow. What an exciting end.
I mean, we can get Hutch for an interview because he's on PlayStation, actually.
I don't think I've even got him added.
I don't know. You can probably add him.
That's alright. We know what he's feeling. He's going to be too happy.
I've just asked him for an interview, so a bit late.
It's alright. Right then, we shall wait and see if Haas manages to make our way here for the interview.
Okay.
But wow, that was incredible stuff from him. And wow, brilliant race. Haas from P15 on the grid wins just due to superior strategy. He was in such a better place on the track at the all time.
Keeping it clean. Wow. I mean, now we need to try and add Hearts and invite him to a party. Driver of the day, needless to say, it's gonna be the same for everyone. Search for a player. If I can spell his name properly. Hearts, there he is. Boom. Let me go onto his profile, please. Add. Send friend request. Okay, I've sent him a friend request on PlayStation.
It might be a little while, but he should join us hopefully.
How does PlayStation work? How do I invite him to a party without making a new one? Okay, I'm friends with him now.
You should be able to press invite players on the party. And then you can get him in.
Yes, invite. Right, I should have invited him.
Let's hope he can join us, as that was a rather incredible drive.
What's just happened?
Rather incredible drive, actually.
Oh, he's just connecting. Alright, is Hearts here now? I think he's joined.
And, oh, Haas, can you hear us there?
I'll take that as a no. I don't know if he can hear us, but if we can, we can't hear him.
We should be able to hear him. Haas, can you hear us there? Unless he's trying to connect his mic or something. We might just be waiting a bit.
I don't know what's happening, really. He's kind of sitting here. I think he's got his mic connected to this. Okay, he's there. Somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it was an incredible drive to come back. The strategy was just perfectly executed, and you were just beautifully within the white lines, which allowed you to take that victory. I mean, how does it feel being a Tier 1 winner?
It's commentator's curse. That was referring to a race about 10 races ago. It expired. And stayed with him. Yeah. It took me a long time to process the fact that you were in a net 2-1 as well. Oh.
But
That thing gave me.
how were those wet conditions out there? Because we saw the rain was coming down extraordinarily hard. How was it to drive out there? Mm. No, it certainly ended up being the right strategy call in the end then, and a brilliant race and a brilliant result for you, Haas. So a big congratulations. Any more questions you have, Numi?
How?
Yeah, it was honestly an incredible drive, and I'm sure we'll be seeing plenty of tickets for today. An incident-filled race, but a very exciting one, and a big victory for Haas. So a big thank you to everybody for watching today, and a big thank you to Numi as well for being in the co-cons position. I want to thank everybody for watching today's race, and I hope to see you next week for round 14 in both Tier 2 and Tier 1. Good night.